run into rejection. I know it's only redirection. I see the blessings right beside me. The chances are quite unlikely. I do it like I'm in my Nikes. Don't make excuses, they never excite me. Boxes, boxes. I cannot fit in the boxes. Stop it, stop it. Quitting was never an option. Exhausted, exhausted. This passion is never exhausted. And you cannot stop it. Nah, you cannot stop it.
Good morning, Knicks universe. Welcome back to another episode of the Knicks Morning Brew on this Friday, November 24th. Like always, I'm your guy Hector, hanging out with my brothers today. I got my guy, Mr. Phil Porto, and the one and only Jiggaman Porto. Fellas, how we doing this morning?
Doing all right, man. You know, can't complain. We got our homie FREEZIE with us this morning, so I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Game tonight. You know, I'm excited, man. I'm excited. It's a good morning.
Look, I'm gonna tell y'all, we had Thanksgiving yesterday, and this was the first year where I was like, man, there's so much food, right? I was like, I'm gonna try like those hot dog eating contest guys. You had my ass at the table. I was doing this move. I was stretching. Let me tell you, all that did was get me exhausted. It did not help at all. But boy, I ate like there was no tomorrow. I didn't even know if I was gonna make it this morning. You saw my green screen just fell? Well, yeah. Right here.
Your green screen got the itis from yesterday. That's what it is. I actually got
like I'm done.
I got a plate in the microwave ready to go. So once this episode is over, I'm hitting that 30-second reheat. But we got a special episode, like Phil said. We got someone that is near and dear to my heart, right? I've known this man over the past couple of months, maybe even more than that, 3 going on 4 years. Let's bring him up. He is the number one chief rocker in the Knicks community. Before we do that, Phil, I apologize. I remember production meeting before the show. I know you wanted to say some words before FREEZIE comes up. Go ahead, Phil.
Yeah. So I just wanted to give some prayer requests. If everybody in the chat can remember our guy Smooth. You know, it's you know, like Hector said the other day, like it's a trying season for some. And so we had prayers the other day for our guy Jay Boogie, who lost a family member, and woke up to the news from my guy Smooth that he had a passing in the family as well yesterday on Thanksgiving. So hard times for a lot of people that are, you know, special and important and support us. And so we want to show our support back by lifting up prayers and lifting up, you know, our thoughts and condolences. So if you guys can please keep Smooth in your thoughts. If you're following him on Twitter, you know, just drop him a little, you know, heart emoji with some, you know, praying hands. He's probably not going to get back to you guys right now in the season. But him coming back to know that like we all were standing by him is important. So if you can throw up those prayer hands in the chat room, and let's show support to our guy Smooth. Prayers and blessings to him and his family.
Prayers to you, Smooth. We're here for you, friends. Anything, just holler at us. You know that.
Friends in the chat, folks that are watching, like always, please remember to drink your water. You know, check on your mental health. If you know a friend of yours tell you that they're all good, just always make sure and just check on them because they may tell you that they're good, but deep down they may not be good. But without further ado, let's bring up our guy. We got 17 people in the building. Smack that like button. The number one chief rocker in the Knicks community, Uncle FREEZIE.
What it do, FREEZIE?
Bim. Oh, you muted, FREEZIE.
Friday.
Hey,
what's
good,
everybody? Yeah, man. Now y'all can legit say that you've seen Uncle FREEZIE and Jigga in the same place.
Right? The rumors are over. What's up, FREEZIE? Appreciate you hanging out with us this Friday, bro. How you been? Man. Everything good?
Yeah, man. Everything's good, man. I feel like, man, I'm so stuffed right now. Man, Miss Mocha has been feeding me like a pig like all week, but I like it.
Shout out Miss Mocha. Shout out Miss Mocha. Always. FREEZIE, I gotta ask you, FREEZIE. You know, is that the same beanie you've been wearing since the first day I met you? I think it's the same beanie, or do you switch it up occasionally here and there?
Nah, bro. Nah, so this dude, no lie, it's a dude on the internet named Phil Need More Caps. You know what I'm saying? It has like a collection of like joints, you know what I'm saying? So even though they look the same on top of this milk dud, they are all different.
Oh man.
Yo,
Oh
it
man.
reminds me of those movies where like the guy wears one black shirt, but he opens up the closet and there's like 50, 60 of the
50
same
different black shirts.
Yeah,
Rain
and
Man.
you gotta like pick
Rain
which one.
Man, yes. Yeah.
Oh man, FREEZIE, thank you again for taking time out and joining us on this Friday. Like I always say, I always give you the credit when it comes to this content creating space. I would have never met Phil, I would have never met Jigga if you never opened up that platform and allowed people to come up on your show and talk their mess when it comes to the Knicks. So always got to give you your flowers when it comes to that. And I always like to joke around. Everybody in the NBA, when they talk about like NBA coaches, they always like to point to the Greg Popovich coaching tree. But when it comes to content creators, you got the Uncle FREEZIE content creating tree, because there's so many different content creators that were able to grow and do their own thing because of the platform that you gave all of us, FREEZIE. So I always got to give you your flowers for that, Unc. Thank you so
Phil,
much.
you know what that was like though? Phil, it was like this, bro. This is what it was like. The producer backstage, right, that showed Elvis Presley where the microphone was. It's like, hey, Elvis, I know you're nervous. Just go out there to that microphone and do your thing. That's what I did with Heck. That's it. That's it, right? Like I don't deserve no credit for the talent.
Nah, you do.
Right? Or the timing, or maybe a little bit of the confidence, but everything else, I'm like the guy backstage. It's like, yo, Elvis Presley, it's time to go rock. There's the microphone right there. And Elvis went to the microphone and did his thing. So
that's dope. And you know what one thing I love, I don't rock with him anymore, but I had an old mentor, and he was always talking about like the real fathers who are proud of their children, or are proud of the people that they've poured into. They don't say like, oh, you're good because I did that, or I did this for you. They just celebrate the victory of that child or that mentee. They don't need to get the credit. And that shows a real, mentor, or someone who really cares about paving the way for others, that they're not just trying to pat themselves on the back for that person's success. So that shows a lot of your character as well, bro. Like the fact that you can just be like, all I did was pave the way. Well, paving the way is still huge. Like even today, like there are a lot of people who have platforms that do not care to see other people succeed because they see it as competition, And so for us, we see that there's enough plates for everybody to eat, and we see it as community over competition. It means a lot when people actually have that same heart and that same mentality. So that's why, we totally rock with you and knew that we needed you to come and rock with us on the show, because it was an honor for us to have you here.
Right. Not only do we want everyone to eat, we're gonna fix people's plates. We're gonna get everybody in line.
Yep.
Give them a shelter, safe place to eat at. Right.
Facts.
We're gonna wash the dishes when they done. We're gonna invite them back again. So
wait, hold on. I don't wash. Can we use the dishwasher?
Yeah,
I'm just saying, I ain't doing the dishes in my own house.
Honestly, to me, when you put it in the dishwasher, that's like washing dishes.
Exactly. Give my credit.
Y'all are like, this must be some Bronx stuff. Is somebody else from the Bronx? Shout out to the greatest borough that ever existed.
That's a fact. But
shout out to everybody in the chat. They're already going hard. We'll do a little roll call here in a minute. But I thought it was a good segue, because you said it was like the producer in the back saying, go handle your business, Elvis. That's what we should be saying right now. Go handle your business tonight, Knicks, because this is a revenge game. Yes, we can talk about the in-season tournament. We can talk about, hey, it counts towards that. But this is the first game since the playoffs that we get to go up against the Heat, who, let's be real, they're not playing doo-doo. They're looking good.
Yeah.
How we feeling about tonight, FREEZIE? Let's start there, bro. Like, coming off the little break, that last loss was a little tough. We look sloppy as can be, and here we are, though.
Well, in my opinion, if you're upset about the loss on Monday, relax. Right, the Minnesota Timberwolves are right now maybe the best team in the NBA right now.
Yeah,
possibly. It's early. It's early, right? And so we don't want to jump out of a window. But if we're merely speaking to the fact of who is playing the best basketball right now, Minnesota is in the conversation.
Yeah.
And we played them on their floor, right? on the last game for us of a 5-game road trip. Right? Right. The 2 losses that we took on that road trip, right? Minnesota. And then at the beginning of the road trip, we lost to another team that may be in the conversation of the best team in the NBA right now, Boston. So if you take into account the 3-game road trip, right? We beat the teams that we probably should have beaten.
Yeah.
Right. But we also lost to teams that are these 2 teams might be in the NBA finals against each other. Right. And for those that don't think so, Minnesota has already beaten Denver.
Yep.
Right. So if you're merely speaking to, that game Monday as a loss, you can't think of that Minnesota Timberwolves as the old Kevin Love Timberwolves. This team is good. And you know what, New Yorkers? This Knicks team is good.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
and no. Go ahead, Freezie. Go ahead, Freezie.
I was gonna say. So tonight, this game against another team with double-digit wins already means something to us, right? Right. So we get the opportunity to show the world that this Knicks team is better than what a lot of people give it credit for. And even though our roster may not be built the traditional way, we have to just think about the destination and not the journey.
Yeah, there's 2 things I'll say on that. I'm gonna throw to Hector. First, I gotta shout out Raziel the Great because he showed up choosing violence this morning. All right, he said it's gonna be a black and blue Friday, baby. Let's go Heat. Listen,
Raziel,
we respect everybody in the chat. All right, Raziel, we hear you. But to bounce off of what Freezie is saying, Heck, and I'm gonna toss it to you and then throw to Phil, is this again a team with a winning record, a team that is spoken of highly. Is this one of those games where we need to pull that win so we can start getting the credit that we deserve? Because right now, the narrative is starting to turn into they beat the teams that they're supposed to, but they can't handle the better teams, right? Yeah. To me, this is one of those games, because I agree with you, Freezie. I said the other episode, man, watching those Timberwolves, they're fun to watch. They are young, like they look good. They arguably the best team in the West right now. Like you said, it's early. So I wasn't upset about the loss. I was upset about how sloppy we looked on our own and made it that much easier for them. But that, this Heat game is more than just that in season. It's more than that revenge game. It's, hey, this is a team over 500. Here's a good team. Can the Knicks that the Knicks fans believe in, can they show up for that game?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And, to piggyback off of what Freezie was saying real quick, when it comes to the last game against Minnesota, I said it on the last episode with Jerry, that we came off of a road trip that we played 3 games in 3 nights in 4 different cities, right? And that Minnesota game was the last game in that road trip. So it's kind of hard to ask any NBA team to go into there and to come out with a win. Now, granted, I wish we didn't get blown out or lost by 17 points. That's another conversation for another day. But when it comes to the Miami Heat, when it comes to what you said, Celso, about beating the teams that we're supposed to beat and not being able to close it out on the teams that we're in competition with when it comes to playoff standing, the Heat, we go back to last year, right? It's a playoff matchup from last year. We have 4 days off since the last game we played in Minnesota, so they had enough time to rest up. Tonight, I don't want any of those excuses. I want our team to go into the Garden and to handle business against the Miami Heat. I don't want no excuses about 3 games, 4 nights, whatever, blah 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 blah. It's Miami. This is a revenge game. This game has some extra momentum to it because of the playoff loss to the Miami Heat. So, and we're in our house. We're in the Garden. Black Friday in the Garden. So I'm expecting this team to come up and to be performing on all cylinders. When the last game that we lost against Minnesota, everything that could have went wrong, it went wrong. Right? RJ Barrett, I know RJ Barrett shot well from beyond the arc, but the inside game wasn't on point. Dante DiVincenzo, after going off the big ragu, he disappeared. Emmanuel quickly struggled as well. Julius Randle struggled as well in that game. So I'm gonna need everybody to be on their P's and Q's tonight against the Heat.
All right. So I have a little bit of a different stance.
Of course you do, because you feel. Of course you do.
That's just what I do. So I don't have a problem with the fact that we lost. Like, if you look at Minnesota, Minnesota played well, and Minnesota has been playing well. My problem, and the reason I have a problem with the fact that we lost, is because we didn't lose solely because we were outplayed, but we lost because we've reverted back to things that did not produce winning basketball to us in the games before. And we strayed away from the things that have brought us winning basketball these last few games. I said it, last few episodes. When we actually move the ball, we are a tough team to play against. Like, when we are averaging 23 to 27 assists per game, we walk away with the W. When we revert back to the 16, 17 assists per game, we get smoked. And that's what happened. I said it right before the Timberwolves game. If we see 16 or 17 assists, we will lose that game. And we did. They had like 30 something. We had 16 assists. That's a problem. That makes the Dante DiVincenzo's, that makes the Julius Randles, the Jalen Brunsons, the RJs struggle, because now they just have to focus on you when you have the ball instead of all the other threats that are on that team. So I feel the same way about the Heat. Like, if you look at all the teams that are winning right now, like, Minnesota's going to be there. Like FREEZIE said, they already beat Denver. But Orlando beat Denver.
And Boston.
Yeah. And you know the reason Orlando beat Denver? They had 27, 28 assists. They were facilitating the ball, and they weren't allowing Denver to just do what Denver does and lock people down. They were moving the ball. They were distributing. Think we need to do the same thing with the Heat. The Heat were on a 7-game winning streak. They lost 1 game against the Bulls, came back the next day, beat the Bulls, beat the Bulls back, beat Cleveland. They are playing well right now.
They won 9 out of 10, bro.
Yeah. If we try to do this one-on-one tit for tat ping pong thing back and forth with them, we're not going to win. I wanted to share this quote because it's exactly how I felt about the Knicks when I read this. It's a Isaiah Thomas quote. And he said, I found this on Twitter and I was like, yo, that's perfect. He said, the most difficult thing for a basketball player is to fight the tendency to make the game an individual battle. Almost every night I'm playing against a guy I know I can take, but I have to fight that urge because I have to make sure the team plays well. It's not whether I played well. And I think that we forget that sometimes with individual players. It becomes this person show instead of let's just get the victory as the Knicks. When we try to play as a team, we are hard to beat. When we play individually, we're easy to beat. That's my thoughts.
I'm gonna throw it to you, FREEZIE, because you had a lot to say the other night, Knicks at Night, where you talked about the ball movement and the ISO. For those of you in the chat, if you're not subscribed to BLORANGE Tears, the hell you doing with your life? The link is in the chat. Go hit it up because FREEZIE be dropping them gems. FREEZIE, let's talk on that ISO ball and what you saw there, man.
I'll do a comparison. Yeah. It's like you guys' show, right? Like, the 3 of you guys individually can go out and do a joint by yourselves and be fire, right? But then I'd have to click on 3 different things. But together, y'all come together in this Voltron type of way where y'all pass the mic. It's like a doo-wop type of thing, right? And for those watching, listen, for those that's watching, I don't have to be throw superlatives to these guys. I already have a bussin' channel, like with 3,435 subscribers on it. I don't have to give out compliments. I do give out compliments for those that deserve it. And these guys put out fire content. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? And so, like, the point that you made about the teamwork thing, like the quote from Isaiah, the doo-wop thing, when you have doo-wop, or for those that don't understand, for those that understand harmony, when individual parts come together in harmony, it's kind of like it's symphonic, it's perfection. And so Isaiah Thomas is saying, instead of letting the bass player have a solo and then the trumpet guy have a solo, you know what I'm saying, lead guitar have a solo, drums have a solo, you bring all those guys together in harmony, now you got something. Right? And that's what we want the Knicks to be. We want Randle and Brunson and Mitch and RJ and Hart and all those guys to pass the ball to each other. But not only pass, but screen for each other, cut for each other, drag defenders out of the way for each other. You know what I'm saying? Play in a symphony. It should look like a symphony out there. It should look like a ballet out there. It should look like an art out there with everybody moving, people passing the ball. And Yo, we ran a play. We ran a play so well the other night that Mitchell Robinson dribbled to the rim and dunked from the 3-point line the other night.
Yeah.
For those that saw it. Yeah, for those that saw it, they saw Mitch. They were like, "Oh man, where has that been? Why don't Mitch just do that all the time?" No, look at the other 4 players on the court moving away, dragging defenders out of the way, parting the seas so that Mitch could do that. Right? That's what it's like. It's like when you watch the Yankees turn a double play, right? It's not about the sharp two hopper to the shortstop. It's about the pitcher throwing a sinker so he can get the ground ball. You know what I'm saying? It's about the second baseman covering the bag on contact. You know what I'm saying? It's about the first baseman scrambling to first base before the shortstop even gets the ball. You know what I'm saying? It's about that symphony that you see everybody together in harmony. That's what the Knicks need to do. That's where we thrive.
Yeah.
That's where we thrive. So
if you look at every victory, right? We're 8-6 on the season. In every one of those victories, we got over 20 assists. Right. And the 6 games that we lost, the only one of those games that we got to 20 assists was opening night against the Celtics. And we can argue that game, if the whistle went our way, we could have won that game. Every other loss that we had,
or if the whistle was neutral, if the whistle was neutral,
if the whistle was neutral that game, we win that game. But every other loss that we have less than 20 assists. The Knicks win when we have more than 20 assists, when there's ball movement. Like you said, Freezie, when everyone is symphonic and everyone is doing their job. Everybody has a role to play. As long as everybody do their job, we get the victory.
When there's harmonic out there, bro, when there's harmony, bro, I think we're a tough out, bro.
You know, the problem with that game too was, and I think we touched on it before too, was to play devil's advocate. We may have seen more assists if shots were falling, because we shot like 30% that night, right? From the field, like it was bad in 3. I can't remember, but we didn't even break 25% from what I remember.
Yeah, true.
Right, so that plays a part too. So it's like we're so excited to finally see ball movement, and then lack of ball movement, and then you're not getting your shots to fall. So that affects. So again, that's why in my eyes, I wasn't mad about the loss. I felt it was sloppy because 1, we reverted back, and 2, the shots weren't falling.
May I add a 3? May I add a 3 to that though?
Yeah, please.
Yeah. We were playing against a top 2 defense.
Yeah,
on their floor.
I said it, Freezie. They made, when I was watching, I was like, man, is this how people feel when they play our defense? Because they were giving it to us. Yeah, and that's where that defense came in. You're like, okay, that's what solidified for me that it wasn't just the hype of it being an early season for these Timberwolves. I was like, okay, no, they're legit. Defense is there, the ball movement's there, and they're fun to watch.
And credit to that roster and to that front office. Everybody thought Minnesota was a laughing stock because they traded for Rudy Gobert, right? Karl Anthony Towns, he only played in about 50 games last year. Going into this season, none of the experts, none of the people that get paid to predict things, none of them had Minnesota having this start to the season. And that third quarter with Anthony Edwards, shout out to Anthony Edwards, because he is putting his name in that conversation for one of the next up once LeBron and Curry and all of the other vets retire and pass that torch on. Anthony Edwards, he's ready to take that torch and run with that shit.
He is Jordan-like, bro.
I give him that title when I saw him in Adam Sandler's movie. I was like, all right, Anthony, like he won me over there. All right. I'm just saying, I'm just telling y'all guys, since we're talking about, you brought up Mitch, Freezie. So I want to talk about Mitch a little bit. I'm going to play this real quick for the chat, but CP the franchise, shout out Knicks Fan TV. He had put this short out, but I want to put it out and we can talk about this.
Just came out with their top 100.
Yeah, speak on it.
Mitchell Robinson, who was number 89 in their preseason list, is not even in the top 100 in their regular season list. I mean, what are we watching? If you guys watch the New York Knicks, you've got to give Mitchell Robinson his props, because without him, they don't flow. The Knicks being number 1 in the NBA across every rebounding category, you got to put Mitchell Robinson right up there, man. He's offensive rebounding the ball at a historic clip. In this NBA, possessions matter. The number of possessions matter. If you're not able to get second chance opportunities, you're cooked. And so for the Knicks, while they get their offense in groove and they're trying to get their shots down and trying to be more efficient, Mitchell Robinson is right there doing the dirty work and getting them more chances to score the ball. We're going to put some respect in the Block Nets monster Mitchell Robinson's name now, because for some reason, the entire NBA is just blind blinded to the impact that this guy is having on this New York Knicks team.
I mean, it's facts, right? We talked about it, heck. And FREEZIE, in the chat, I threw it in there the other night, leading in rebounding, right? Number 1 for the New York Knicks, NBA most offensive rebounds, number 3. And yet the media, if it's not shade or a trade conversation, doesn't pay attention to our Knicks. So, what does Mitch have to do to get the respect? Because let's be real, it took a while for even our fan base to give Mitch the respect. We all wanted something more from Mitch, and here it is. So what do you guys think is the disrespect when it comes to Mitch, bro?
I'll say it real quick, and I'll throw it over to FREEZIE and then to Phil afterwards to get their thoughts. But when it comes to Mitchell Robinson, he's going to be putting himself in that conversation. If not, he should be in that conversation for Defensive Player of the Year. I know it may be his first time for the people who vote on it, so they may give him that shade of first time being there. I'm not going to give you that vote. But when it comes to all defensive team, he needs to be in number 1 or number 2, right? Mitchell Robinson this season, he's averaging only 2.2 to 3 fouls per game. That is rare with Mitchell Robinson, right? We saw Mitchell Robinson as a puppy under David Fizdale, and he has grown into the man that he is right now. I know I said David Fizdale is like saying Voldemort from Harry Potter. I understand
you said
that.
I felt it.
No, but when it comes to Mitchell Robinson, he is doing something this season we've never seen before. He's getting in those passing lanes. He's getting steals. He's in top 5 when it comes to steals per game. So you got to give Mitchell Robinson his credit when credit is deserved. He is not getting in foul trouble. He is the anchor on our team when it comes to defense. And when you look at his contract, when he got that extension last year, there was so many fans saying, oh, he's overpaid. He's not going to be worth that contract. That contract is very team friendly because last year he was making 17 mil, and every season going forward, it gets less and less and less. So on the last year of his contract, he's going to be making 11, 12 million with that kind of production. That is a very team friendly deal. And I'm glad Mitchell Robinson is still with the Knicks.
Yeah.
So one of the things I think people have to understand is when you put together a team early on in the season, the summertime talk is always about the fancy stuff, like all the bells and whistles. It's always about, it's such and such averages such and such amount of points a game. And the thing with guys like Mitchell Robinson, Dante DiVincenzo, RJ Barrett, Emmanuel Quickly is a lot of those guys, their defense flies under the radar. Like right now, I think I saw, I don't know how accurate this is, but I know before RJ Barrett got injured, RJ Barrett was the top defender in the NBA for a guy that played more than 30 minutes a night. I don't know how accurate that is right now because when I saw it, it was the case before RJ got it. When RJ, you remember when RJ was cooking and RJ looked like he had turned the corner and all of that? RJ Barrett was the top defender in the NBA for any player that played over 30 minutes. Now, of course, teams play every night and those things tend to fluctuate, right? But if you're talking about Mitchell Robinson's defense, RJ's defense, Quickly's defense. But the thing about Mitch, and shout out to CP the franchise, by the way. For representing us in the sports world, not just Knicks Universe. But when you're talking about Mitchell Robinson, consider this. Mitchell Robinson has been a Knick longer than a lot of those all-time great Knicks that we speak about. Right? This is Mitchell Robinson's 6th season. Right? And if he plays out his contract, Mitchell Robinson will be on this roster for 9 seasons, bro. If he plays out his contract. And so that part that, about flying under the radar. The other thing too is Mitchell Robinson's defense is so good, right? That he forces himself off the radar. Right? Like Mitch doesn't have splash plays because the splash plays are not there to be made, right? So what does that mean? That means, that means Mitchell Robinson may be the best deterrent in the NBA. It's like in battle where you see all these missiles flying and all that stuff. But think about radar. Think about what radar does to your enemy, right? You know what I'm saying? Like if you keep them off the radar, you never have a threat. That's what Mitchell Robinson is for us. His greatness is that in the boundaries, like his presence on the floor causes offenses to rethink what it is that they want to do. Because you've seen centers in the NBA, for instance, you've seen a Miles Turner who blocks a lot of shots. The reason why he blocks a lot of shots is because people constantly test him. With Mitch, they don't test Mitch. They pulling up for middies. They would rather shoot threes. They'll get their three, but teams legit draft and sign free agents for Mitch. They sign Brook Lopez type guys so that they could pull Mitch out of the paint. They have a threat from three, so to try to neutralize Mitch on defense, right? My thing is with a Mitchell Robinson, bro, when you have, in my opinion, and I know it's going to sound wild, but I think Mitch is irreplaceable for us, right? If you take Mitch out and put in the average center that does a little bit of everything, dribble passes. If you take out Mitch and put in Wendell Carter, I don't think this team is the same.
No,
like Mitch legit is that good of a defensive player. He is so good on defense that offenses rethink their strategy when Mitch is on the floor. And fingers crossed, knock on wood, he stays healthy, unlike centers from other teams.
Yeah. So I want to give NBA.com some credit. My light just went out. That's crazy. So I want to give
you still look beautiful. You good?
You know, it is.
You over here looking dapper. You still looking dapper.
You're still good. You're still good.
All right. So even though that there are those media outlets such as what CP pointed out, you know, that are not giving credit where it's due, I want to pull up this article by NBA.com and shout them out because they're not going on that fool's gold train of not giving Mitch the respect he deserves. There was actually an article that was called 10 Players Who Deserve More Thanks. And they actually had Mitchell Robinson as one of those 10 players. So here's the little thing right there. So they pretty much said nobody in New York rebounded like this since Patrick Ewing is cementing himself as one of the league's better boardsmen, and it reflects almost nightly. He's now at 11.6 per game. But his development defensively goes even further. He's blocking 1.2 shots a game with 1.4 steals. Now you know why stoic coach Tom Thibodeau always cracks a smile, because Robinson is content to leave the scoring to others and concentrate on the important stuff. So NBA.com at least is acknowledging how important even the small things that Mitchell Robinson does contributes to our winning, games. And so you guys know my love-hate relationship with Tom Thibodeau. But he also had a quote that, really showed how Mitchell Robinson is. He said he had a really great year last year, and people didn't recognize how well he played. I think this year he's gone to another level. The growth has been great. He's critical to our team. His teammates have a great appreciation, coaches, the organization, all for the little things that he does to help this team succeed. Oftentimes it's not reflected. We see the offensive rebounding. What we don't see is the pick and roll defense, his rim protection, multiple effort plays, the communication, and the extra possessions are huge. It makes us well balanced. And so I personally am at a point yes, I was like, man, if he could just add to his offensive game. But even the little things like that one play that he did where he was off the ball, and dribbled to the paint, that's going to make people go, oh, he actually has an offensive package. We may not see it all the time, but now we know that he can turn it on. So we can't not play it, So little glimpses like that are huge, And once again, shout out to Ebony, KOT family. She's always pointing out the little things that Mitchell Robinson does. So if you don't think that Mitchell Robinson is a contributing factor to our team and you're a Knicks fan and you're in this chat right now, follow Ebony. Every single time that there's a contributing factor from Mitchell Robinson, she breaks it down with basketball excellence on why we need Mitchell Robinson on this team. If we did have a scoring big, it might screw up the whole flow of all the other scorers that we have on the team. So shout out to Mitch. He's playing great basketball. Shout out to NBA.com for acknowledging that.
I'm going to say, we didn't even have it planned, but when we do the open panel here in a little bit, maybe that's a good topic too for the open panel, right? Because I'm sure we can spend a lot of time on the best center since Ewing. Like that's a conversation to have, right? Because I mean, we've had other bigs come through that we still think highly of, Tyson and them, right? So that's a conversation worth having. I think we saved that one with the open panel.
Hold on, I just want to say you just said Tyson Chandler and that was it. Ever since
I froze. I was like
Tyson Chandler, Mitchell Robinson, and everybody else is not even relevant when it comes to the centers we've had.
You can't hate on Marcus Camby. All right, you cannot hate on Marcus Camby.
Well, we traded Marcus Camby away for we traded Mark for Antonio McDyess. So we didn't let Marcus Camby stay here in New York. So okay, I'll give you Camby. Go ahead, Phil. You can have that.
We'll throw that one to the open panel. But also, I want to shout out everybody in the chat, our usuals that are always here. We love your support. Also, big shout out to FREEZIE's fam coming through, the BLORANGE Tears fam in the chat, throwing it up. Appreciate everybody hanging out. Go ahead. Go ahead, Heck.
Oh yeah, no. Shout out to the chat real quick. We surveyed 100 people's in the building. Coach Sierra 617, appreciate you for showing up. My guy Udo Yosef, Kerry Cox is in the building. King Ribby's in the building. Salute, 3 capital S's, like our guy Jay Boogie says. No, but when it comes to Mitchell Robinson, and I'm gonna just piggyback off of what FREEZIE and Phil was saying. I'll throw it over to you, Jigga, before we switch topics. I know everybody would like to see Mitchell Robinson develop an offensive game, right? Everybody wants to see Mitchell Robinson.
Not everybody, not me.
Not you, FREEZIE. So let me correct myself. Everybody besides Uncle FREEZIE wants Mitchell Robinson to create a mid-range game or some type of offensive package. I'm happy with what he's doing right now. I would like to see him being more involved in the offense when it comes to pick and rolls and alley-oops. That's the only thing I want to see from Mitchell Robinson. And shout out, that missed dribble to the rim was like watching my child getting born. Bro,
I had to put that one up, bro.
Right.
That shit had me laughing.
None of us were expecting that. And when it happened, I'm like, yes, go, Mitch. And that was the only real highlight of that game against Minnesota, because it happened in that first half when we was actually being competitive and competing. That third quarter came and then bim, it just went downhill. No, but when it comes to Mitch, I just want Tom Thibodeau just do some more pick and rolls. Throw that lob up for Mitchell Robinson. You've seen RJ Barrett, his connection with Mitchell Robinson. It's there, right? I want to see more from Julius Randle and Jalen Brunson when it comes to their connection with Mitchell Robinson.
Right.
Go ahead, FREEZIE, because before we do the whole open panel thing, touch on the best center since you. I want your take on that, where you're at with that.
Okay, so I don't think it's even a question. Even y'all know I love Tyson Chandler, and I love that Tyson Chandler archetype, right? The rim run, the athletic 7-foot shot blocking. I think Tyson Chandler and Mitchell Robinson's archetype is one and the same, right? I think they're the same archetype, and I like that, right? I feel in today's NBA, you can't have 5 no conscious lights out scorers on the floor, right? It don't work in today's NBA because there's not enough basketballs to go around, so to speak, right? So I like the guy that's going to set the screen and be a vertical threat as opposed to a horizontal threat, right? Because listen, if you want Jalen Brunson to continue to shoot 45% from 3, you have to have a good screener and be threatening the rim at the same time. When you have 5 guys on the perimeter, it's not enough space out there for dudes to keep shooting threes. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like it's kind of like in your music group when the one guy, all he does is he comes in and sings all the bass stuff, right? He just the bass singer, right? You might have a lead singer or 2, but then you have like the background singer and the bass singer that does all that stuff. Now, with me, I don't think it's a question that Mitchell Robinson is a top 6 Knicks center of all time. And I'm not going to get into names that people forgot, like Bob McAdoo and Bill Cartwright, and names that people don't remember. I'm not going to get into that. But just think about the Knicks have been playing basketball for about 80 years, almost 80 years, right? Maybe 80 years already, right? And to say that Mitchell Robinson is a top 6 Knicks center is really a point of conversation about how we got a really raw, awkward high school kid out of Florida, Louisiana, wherever you want to say, wherever he claims, right? We got a really raw guy. And we developed a 19/20-year-old out of the second round into a defensive player of the year candidate.
Say it
Right?
again.
That's something to be said about the Knicks organization, about developing.
Just hold on one second, Freezie. I'm not cutting you off. I just need that to be reset. Do you hear the words coming out of your mouth? Like, we as a fan base can sit here and say we have actually developed a couple of guys over the last couple of years. And we're not talking just Mitch. Look at RJ coming into his own, right?
Right.
Obviously, we're hoping he gets it back to form at the injury, right? We give a little leeway there, right? I've said it before. If we're able to give leeway when Julius is hurt, when any player's hurt, you've got to expect that for any player. But we're hoping to see that in Grimes, like what we have in IQ, like young guys that we've brought on that we have developed. That's just crazy to hear. It's been so long.
Him, bro. Not just him. We took a, I like to use the term lottery bust about Randle. He wasn't quite that, but he wasn't quite what he was expected to be.
Never lived up to the potential, right?
And we turned him into
two-time All-Star,
statistically the greatest power forward in Knicks history. Statistically, I'm not saying in terms of impact, right? I'm talking about numbers, and there's a difference. Because if we're talking about impact, Charles Oakley and Dave DeBusschere, impact-wise, had a more decent impact than Julius Randle. But statistically, Randle may be the greatest power forward in Knicks history. And you know who else developed here? And we should give the Knicks credit. How about Jalen Brunson? Jalen Brunson went from being a mid-range Calvin Murphy type scorer with Dallas to a guy this year with the Knicks. Think about this. From January 1st to today, Jalen Brunson is shooting 44.5% from three.
That's crazy. From
January through the last game, 44.5% from three. Right? And so what does that mean for those that are saying, oh, what does that mean? He don't shoot it enough. No, what that means is Jalen Brunson went from a guy that didn't shoot the three and was slightly above average for his career to coming to the Knicks and being the greatest three-point shooter potentially in Knicks history.
The best part is Jalen Brunson went from the why did we sign him to half of this fan base to every one of them sending back a photo of themselves doing a Jalen Brunson pose, right? So I mean,
first of all, that is one of the most weirdest celebrations ever. The smelling of the inside of your thumb, because some dudes don't like wash their hands because I know it's
right. Or wash behind their ears.
Exactly. I mean, it's not that many of us that wash behind our ears, but
I'm like, yo, bro. Right.
What?
Yeah.
That went off the rails real quick.
Really I'm sorry, bro. I'm an off the rails type dude. Don't get on the roller coaster with me, bro. Don't get on the train with me, bro.
Me and FREEZIE's right there. No, but to FREEZIE's point, when you look at stat-wise when it comes to Julius Randle, and you've mentioned the other legendary Knicks names when it comes to impact and winning, but when it comes to stats, how many Knicks power forwards have we had that have been 25-10, 2 All-Star appearances, or NBA? Not that many. And people could say, oh, well, just the numbers and little accolades. Well, sometimes numbers and accolades, they go a long way. When it's all said and done in his career, whether you like him or you don't like him, he was averaging 25-10, 2 All-Stars, and 2 all-team NBAs. Right. That's a fact. You can never take that away from him.
This dude is putting up Chris Webber type numbers with the Knicks, bro. For those that remember Chris Webber, this dude is putting up Chris Webber type offensive numbers. That's crazy, right? Yeah. And I'm talking about numbers. I'm not talking about impact and impact on winning and all that stuff. But man, when you put up Chris Webber type numbers, and think about everybody think about all the talent that Chris Webber played with, and think about the talent level that Julius Randle has played with over the years. Wayne Ellington, Austin Rivers, Alfred Payton, Alec Burks. You know, you can't compare that to Tim Hardaway and Latrell Sprewell, Mike Bibby, Peja Stojakovic, Vlade Divac. You know what I'm saying? So for Randle to do this statistically is impressive. Now, impact, of course, you know, the impact is different.
Nick Yak said Brunson's a career 49% shooter. He always could play and shoot threes. Problem was Doncic was always with the ball.
Yeah,
right. He got the start he needed somewhere where he could be that guy, and we embraced that, and he stepped up, and he still has. Now, granted, we want to see more from him this season. I'm not, I call it how it is, right? There's certain times where I'm like, damn, all right, they're on to you, getting in the paint, doing your little moves, and right. Am I wrong? And someone in the chat, please let me know, or Freezy. But I'm sure if we check the stats, he's gotten already a lot less foul calls than he did last season because they're onto him, getting in the middle there, throwing his body up to get that two off. Right?
He's not getting to the foul line like he was last year. And I figure as the season goes on, that will pick back up.
Yeah, I think so.
Guys, I dropped the link for the open panel. We're going to do a little open panel action. Let me drop it again. Everybody can come up, give their takes. A couple topics we're going to address. Obviously, we're going to talk about the best center since Ewing. You've heard our takes on that. We want to hear what your thoughts are on that. But guys, you know me. I've been on this topic for a while now, and I'm not ready to let it go. And there's certain people I want their opinion on it. And Freezy, you one of them. All right? Because obviously the conversation is still going on with the Dante starting, the Grimes starting lineup. Where are you at on this stance? Because now you see after last game, you've got a lot of people on the timeline that are like, why would you change up the starting rotation when we were looking okay with Dante in there, and then you brought Grimes back in because it's Grimes? Like, some are on Grimes didn't lose his spot. He hurt his wrist. Like, why would you not start him? Where are you at with it, Freezy?
I'm going to say to Knicks fans, let's relax on a bit, just a bit. Let's not be knee jerk in this situation. It's early, and just because DiVincenzo looked good for a game or two as a starter while Grimes was out, right? Just relax and remember, over the course, an 82 game schedule is long and grueling, right? And so there'll be some games with Dante DiVincenzo will start, right? Because listen. Brunson is going to miss some games. Grimes is going to miss some games. RJ is going to miss some games. And Julius Randle, though we know he likes to play all 82, he's probably going to miss a handful of games. So when you see guys off the bench inserted into the lineup, let's not make a ironclad indictment on what we saw based on a small sample size, right? In my opinion, is Dante DiVincenzo more dynamic? Yes. But Dante DiVincenzo can also go missing for long stretches where you can't find him. The thing that Grimes gives you is steady. You know he's going to be steady on defense, and you know he's going to be steady on offense. Grimes is probably going to shoot the ball 5 times in a game. You know that. Right, but you also know that Grimes is going to help you move the basketball. He's a unselfish passer, right? What Grimes is going to give you is a lot of screening and motion, and he is going to be unselfish enough to give RJ and Randle and Brunson those shots that those guys crave, right? But on defense, those guys move out of the way to let Grimes do his thing on defense. Like Randle will be like, move out of the way so Grimes can guard Jason Tatum, right? And we know Randle physically should probably be guarding Jason Tatum, right? But Grimes is like, nah, big fella, this is what I do, right? And so when you have that balance, what I would say to everybody is just remember, a meal is made up of different ingredients, right? Everything is not going to be like the star of the show each time that you see it. So basically what I'm saying is I'm okay with Grimes starting as long as Dante DiVincenzo is getting minutes, right? But what I wouldn't want to see is us rock the boat, bringing Grimes off the bench in a new role, and then now we have to go through this grace period of adjustment of seeing what this team is going to be like with Grimes coming off the bench. And then if it doesn't work, right, then you have to switch them back and then get them back into a groove. And you might be talking about 20 games. Well, and based on our stretch right now, where we're at about 55% win percentage, somewhere in that neighborhood, right? In 20 games, that means we'll be 14 or 12-8, something like that, 13-7. Well, what happens if you make the change and now you go through a 7-13 stretch because you mess with the chemistry, right? Is this team built in a way that can overcome a 7-13 stretch going into January? I don't know if we can do that. I wouldn't really take the chance. What I would do if I'm Tibbs, keep starting Grimes if he's healthy, and just maybe shift the minutes. If Dante is hot, then let him play. And I think that's what Tom Thibodeau has been doing.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, the 2 games that he did start in the starting lineup and he looked really good, it was against Washington and it was against Charlotte. Right now, it would have been a different. We would be having a different conversation if against Minnesota, coming off the bench, he was still putting up numbers like he did against Washington and Charlotte. But the fact that he laid the egg in that game, right? And credit to Minnesota and their defense. But like I said, if he would have stepped up in that game against Minnesota, dropped 15 to 17 points, then we could say, all right, cool. It wasn't just a fluke against Washington and Charlotte. Maybe Dante deserves to be in that starting lineup. But like you said, FREEZIE, it all falls down to chemistry. Do you want to make that move in this part of the season or in the middle part of the season and kind of mess with the chemistry? Something like that should have been addressed in the preseason and the off season going into the season. That's just me, how I look at it.
Right.
What's your thoughts, Phil? You're muted, brother, by the way.
I muted him. Hold on. My bad, Phil. Go ahead.
No, you good. I don't know. Like, for me personally, like, I would always like to see what something could be, you know? And so for me, I saw not just Dante being effective shooting wise, but like we talked about last game, like I saw a confidence in him that is different than the confidence we see in Grimes. And Grimes is one of like the players that I personally think has the highest ceiling if he can get it untapped and develop his confidence. But we haven't seen that so far. And so the main thing for me that would have kept him at least in the starting lineup to see if it was a fluke, because him coming off the bench in that game, I can't say that that's the determining factor on, you know, whether or not him playing well in the starting unit was a fluke or not. Like, I need to see him in the starting unit to make that assumption. And so for me, it's the respect that I saw from other players when it came to how they facilitated the ball to Dante, as opposed to how they facilitate the ball to Grimes. When it came to Julius Randle and Jalen Brunson, they were quick to look for Dante DiVincenzo in the starting unit. He was always one of the first passes that they have actually gave. We don't see that with Grimes. We see Grimes get the ball with very little time on the clock, typically when he is in the starting unit with Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle giving him the ball. But they looked for Dante DiVincenzo. I think there's a respect difference when it comes to how they see Dante as a player to give the ball to. And that's why I wanted to see it for at least another game or two to see if that's something that we saw consistently. Like, did the assist rating go down because they felt like they had less of an option of who they could give the ball to, you know, or is it just that they reverted in their minds back to playing ISO ball? I don't know. But when Dante was in the starting lineup, there was a lot more ball movement that we saw from our main guys. And that's why I wanted to see it for another game or two to see if that continued to go. And then if it fell on its face after a game or two, then revert back to Grimes.
Great point, Phil. If I can, we got 40 people in the building. If you guys can, smack that like button for the boys as we continue the conversation.
Right. And so I just got. Can I add something with Phil?
Of
just
course,
real quick?
bro.
Go ahead.
So what I would do? Listen. I respect your point, right? Because ultimately, I think you're thinking about, can this team with Dante be a championship contender? If we can ride the hot hand, can we ride this wave to maybe the entire offense and defense getting to that next level? What I would say to that respectfully is, with two-way players like Grimes, it takes them longer to develop, right? Like, you know, offensive players that come into the league, that like the flat-out scorers, it's easy for them because they're buckets. But their defense is usually trash. They don't rebound, and their teams generally don't win, right? But what I would say, though, is if you look at an example, and I know they don't play the same position, but if you look at Jaden McDaniels from Minnesota, right? right now he is a future piece for them, right? But what they did, they let him play just like Quentin Grimes is playing right now. He's in his 4th season, right? Grimes is in his 3rd season. If we, what I'm saying is, if we allow Quentin Grimes to just be Grimes on that current course of development and not tinker with it, because I've seen the Knicks tinker with it, bro. I remember Kevin Knox. Is he in the lineup? Is he not? Do you bring competition in? Do you bring in veterans to beat him up in practice, force him to get better sooner? I've seen that. So my preference is instead of bringing in tinkering with Frank, does he start? Does he not? Does Frank need a veteran with him or not? Just play him. We're winning, right? We're winning, right? Just let it go. Just let it. Like, for instance, I remember one night, Heck was rocking the Knicks at Night podcast. I was at work. I was under a machine welding a part back in place. Some idiot broke it, right? And I remember Heck was on just rocking, and I was listening. And sometimes it would be like this silence, and I'm like, okay, what's going on, right? And then the dude he was with was rocking too, and they were like trying to figure it out and all that stuff. And I was like, yo, do I just jump in right here? And then I was like, nah, just let him. No, Uncle Free, relax, bro. Relax. It was like 100 people in the chat, 110, 120 people in the chat. They were just right. They was listening to Heck and the other guy, and the chat was just on fire. It was patient. It was like listening to Heck rock, and so instead of me tinkering with it, jumping in and bringing my big personality into the thing and disrupting the chemistry, I just stayed back on the side. I went to lunch, right? I could have jumped in. I was like, nah, man, just let them rock, man. And so they rocked. And then all of a sudden, both of those guys are on different channels, both of them bussing, right? The one dude is on another channel on a bigger platform bussing. And Heck is over here. Heck personality, y'all personalities are so big, it's like overwhelming. Sometimes when I watch y'all, I get starstruck, and I'm like, "Hey, relax, Uncle Freaky. You know these guys, right? Like you know these cats. Relax, right? Like I'm legit like trying to hit up Phil behind the scenes, like Phil, can you sign a jersey for me? This is what I'm saying, right? You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, relax,
FREEZIE,
bro, just nah, you know what I'm saying?
I gotta just say, FREEZIE,
so with the Grimes thing, just let them. That's my opinion.
Yeah,
and that's the thing, right?
I get
everybody has.
FREEZIE hit a memory bank when he brought up Knox and when he brought up Frank Ntilikina. I gotta say, shout out to Hoodie Kev, who was the biggest Kevin Knox fan in the world, and Cornerstone Kev, who was the president of the Frank Ntilikina hype train. Both of them went hard for both respected players. I just gotta say that. And I think that night that you were talking about, I think it was either JD Sports Talk or it was JD Sports Talk. So shout out to JD, and like FREEZIE said, FREEZIE was producing remotely from his job, and he was from his phone. He
underneath would start the machine,
stream,
bro.
He would start the stream from his house. He would let people rock out. He'll be at work chiming in. But no, FREEZIE, you just hit a memory bank bringing those two players up. Go ahead, Celso.
Do you jerk them in and out of the lineup just to win these one or two games, or do you play the long game?
Well, this is my whole thing, because I feel like taking him out, if it's a player that's very different than him, then it destroys what possibly could be flowing, But when I look in those games, one of our leaders in steals in those games was Dante. So there was also defense coming from him. And this is the thing. Like I said, Grimes is one of my favorites on the team. But I think that for his confidence and his style of play, I even said it before Dante got his start, that I think he would actually benefit for some time off the bench, because he would be able to explore a little more with what he can do as a player outside of the RJ Barrett, Jalen Brunson, and Julius Randle trio, because I don't feel like he's actually being able to explore who he is as an offensive player at all in that roster. I feel like with the experience that Dante's had, Dante's not looking for permission to score or permission to put the ball on the ground. Like, He played with the Giannis's. He played with the Steph Currys, and he was able to do that there. So I don't think he's looking for permission when it comes to that, which is why it worked. But I feel like Grimes' confidence doesn't have him in that position. And I feel like he could develop that confidence when he sees how good he is in a second unit to then eventually be able to flourish in a starting lineup. I feel like right now he's just too timid and doesn't have the confidence to do what we need him to do to win.
You mean offensively?
Yeah, offensively.
Okay.
Yeah. And the thing about Dante is like he still contributes defensively, so it's not like we're just subbing out a Dante who's going to give us offense and no defense, but it's someone that was bringing both to the table. Because I do believe that Grimes has a higher ceiling than Dante when he reaches it, but he's just not getting there yet. And I feel like the starting lineup is going to prohibit him from being able to reach that.
Yeah, it's just you gotta fully develop. Dante DiVincenzo in his third season, like Quentin Grimes, wasn't who Dante DiVincenzo is right now. Right. So you just need time to develop. You need time in the league. You need to get your feet wet a little bit. And to give Quentin Grimes a little bit of credit, and Jonathan Macri said that on the last episode, a shout out to Macri, another one of the guys who started with FREEZIE. But Macri said it on the last show. Quentin Grimes, when you look at it, he hasn't fully played like full seasons. He's been injured here or there, missed some times here or there. Like we're just talking about him getting injured with his wrist and him coming back and trying to get back into the groove of the starting lineup. When it comes to Quentin Grimes, I just want him to be more aggressive. And I understand your point, Phil, too. It's kind of hard to ask someone to be aggressive when they only got 4 to 5 seconds left on the shot clock. It's hard to ask Quentin Grimes to be super effective when you're given the ball with only 3 seconds left and you got a defender in your face. So I get that when it comes to Grimes.
Yeah, and you guys already know where I'm at, right? And I say it time and time again. I don't understand how people come at me after the show of I'm a Grimes hater. I love the kid. I think his defense is great. I think the confidence is what's lacking still. And I'm going to stand by that. Okay. When I'm seeing him have that open shot and still do the double pump and look to pass it off, or he doesn't get that drive. That's why I'm not here saying we give up on Grimes, but to like the other side of what you were saying, FREEZIE, right? To me, it's if he's in that second unit, we're tinkering, but I feel he might feel as though he has a little bit more freedom. And to take off of what you were saying, Phil, when we did see Dante in that starting, they were more comfortable giving him the ball when it wasn't just the 3, 4, 5 seconds left on the clock, right? Yes, I think everybody talks about Grimes' defense is so much better than Dante, but you know what? Dante holds his own as well when it comes to defense.
Yeah, that's right now. Dante DiVincenzo statistically is a better defender than Quentin Grimes.
So I feel like he's giving us that more you see it when Dante gets the ball. He's not scared to put that shot. That's where I'm just like, I am tired of this has to be your starting unit conversation. Paris Duggar with the $2 super chat. Salute to the
shout out to Paris Duggar. Paris Duggar is one of those commentators that he is very active in the chats. Glad to see Paris Duggar over here. I've been a big fan of him ever since I saw him on FREEZIE show for the past past year or so. So shout out to Paris Duggar. Thank you for being in the chat. And everybody that's in the chat, we appreciate you. We got 42 people in the building. So if you guys can smack that like button, let's get the likes up to 40 on the views right now. Shout out to my guy Ally Wise that's in the chat. Nick Yak as well, 100%. Double A with the $4.99 super chats. Phil spitting truths. Again, Grimes is just not as aggressive like Dante, and Dante flows with JB. 100%. You can't deny.
Not offensively, he's not. Offensively, he's not aggressive.
Right.
But
the thing too about this
other
FREEZIE,
stuff, he is aggressive.
The good thing, the other thing too is I always try to look at the positive side of it, not positivity Knicks, right? You guys know if I have my moment, I'm a vent. I'm going to get off my chest based on each game. But this is one of those things where I actually love that fact that we're having a conversation of, you got the other side of people saying, well, how about IQ? Why isn't he with that starting 5, right? The fact that we are actually able to have debates of who should be in that 5 and not, oh, shit, take him out of the 5. I'd rather be here than on the other side of it, right? So, again, I just look at it right now where if we're going to keep developing like we have with RJ. Like,
are you saying more pieces? Are you saying too many pieces that fit as opposed to not having enough pieces that fit?
Exactly. I'd rather have that side of the conversation of, hey, it could work, right? Not the, oh, man, that would never work. It's more of the, well, do we even tinker with it and see if it works, right? But right now, where I'm at with it is I am leaning still towards that. Hey, maybe Grimes gets more of that development that we're hoping for and confidence if he goes with that second unit. Because you got those that are saying, don't take Grimes out, but don't be surprised if you see Dante still get more minutes than Grimes, right? So that's why, to me, I'm at the point of forget who's the starter of what. Give me the best product on that court that's going to give us the best chance to win. And stop with the when you have the hot hand, taking them out. That's the stuff I can't stand because we see it all the time. How many times is someone come in, start shooting great, and then Tim takes them out? And you're like, what the hell just happened? Why am I not seeing RJ for a whole quarter? Why am I not seeing so and so? But right now, I still feel if I was, gun to the head, what are you doing? I think Dante right now, where we are at this moment, gives us a little bit more of that flexibility with that starting unit, Freezie.
Right. Yeah. No, I agree with you, and also. One thing that Knicks fans and NBA fans in general don't take into account, the archetype for Quentin Grimes, right? Salute, Big Blue in the Bronx.
Yo,
salute.
I gotta shout him out. My boy is in the Jets press box today for the Black Friday Massacre. That's what they're calling it. People think they got no chance. Good luck out there, bro. Appreciate you.
Salute.
Yeah,
salute.
Shout out both Alex and Luca. They do amazing work over there. The Twin Bills are killing it.
Yeah, man.
But go ahead, Freezie. You were saying?
Oh yeah. One of the things I want to mention is that the archetype, the Grimes archetype, they are prone to injury, right? Mm-hmm. So the flat out defenders like Paul George and Kawhi Leonard types, all the 2A wing players like Grimes, like we want Grimes to be, they get injured often, right? And it's not because they're brittle. It's like being a tight end in football, right? On run plays, you're an offensive lineman. On pass plays, you're a wide receiver, right? And when you ask guys to be both, they are susceptible to injuries and such. So the things with Grimes is I think it's fortunate we have a Dante to put in Grimes' spot because we know Grimes is going to get injured because we're going to ask Grimes to guard everyone from De'Aaron Fox to Jason Tatum, right? We're going to ask him to do that. So the mere fact that we have a Dante DiVincenzo that we can plug in is a plus because Dante DiVincenzo is not going to be able to guard De'Aaron Fox and Jason Tatum. Everybody in between. It's because Grimes is a more stout NBA player. And for that reason, I think he's in the starting lineup.
So two things. Hold on, Heck, real quick.
Go ahead, brother.
Shout out, throw up the prayer emojis. Our boy Jay Boogie with the $5 super chat. Blessings, health, happiness.
Jay Boogie in the building.
You know what? I need to work on my Jay Boogie impersonation. You know what? I'm gonna do that. When Jay can't stop, I gotta, blessings, health, happiness to the chat. I just want that fire. I gotta work on it. To the chat in the morning, Brew, being there for me and my family through this injured time. Love is the best love. Yo, Jay Boogie, we brought it up on the last show. We brought it up to start the show. Prayers to you and your family, bro. Sorry for your loss. We here for you. You can hit me with that text anytime like you do, my guy. Appreciate the super chat. We love you, bro.
Definitely.
And to that guy Smooth, too. I don't know who Smooth is. I don't know if I've been in the same place at the same time as Smooth. And so I'm going to say to this person, Smooth, that, man, listen, we got to be here for each other during this trying times because there was a song back in the day, it probably came out before a lot of these Knicks fans were born, but a joint called We Are Family by Sister Sledge. And so while we may not be blood related, family by blood, but we're family by relation. You know what I'm saying? So salute, man. You know what I'm saying? We hope all, things get better. We hope, you know what I'm saying, that you get brought peace and comfort through this trying time.
Yeah, that's why I always make it a point on all of our shows that checking on your families, checking on your peoples, checking on your friends. If somebody says they're good, they may not be good. So just pick up that phone call and make sure they're good. But
drink water.
And drink
your water. Here, Heck,
drink your water.
To stick with that Grimes conversation still, because I'm gonna highlight Keith Turner's take on this. All right, and we can touch on it. But our starting shooting guard just had a game. He scored 0 points. You can't defend 0. So again, it goes into the whole, you get what you get from him defensively, but that's also hurting us offensively.
And
right?
we lost. And we lost.
And we lost. So it stands out like a sore thumb when we lost. But I'm gonna answer Keith Turner with my guy Savage NYC. It's like playing Uno, right? It's like playing spades. I'm gonna put down the ace of clubs. But Savage
Right.
NYC says Tibbs is an old dog. He'll start Grimes like he started Alfred Payton. And we gotta just live with that reality. Tom Thibodeau is gonna go with the guy that he feels is the best defender in that starting lineup. I'm gonna quote Fred Kratz, because when Fred was on with us, he brought it up that when you look at both of their games on the defensive side of things, when it comes to on-ball defense, Quentin Grimes is better than Dante on ball. Dante is great at getting in the passing lanes, getting those deflections, and getting those steals on the fast break.
And
So,
the screen
so
navigator.
Yeah.
exactly, and go and fighting through those screens. So when Tom Thibodeau is putting out his starting lineup or is coming up with his schemes, he rather have a guy that you could say, you know what, even though you're shorter than Jason Tatum, stick on that man like a mosquito. And it's hard to ask Quentin Grimes to do that because he doesn't have the length to guard Jason Tatum. And, you know, let's be honest, Jason Tatum is a phenomenal scorer. I don't think there's many defenders in the league that would shut Jason Tatum down. Quentin Grimes is just doing his best. You can't ask Julius Randle to do that because Randle is not the best defensive player we have out there. It is Quentin Grimes, and that's just reality we got to live with.
Score in foul trouble. You can't get your second
and you can't get Julius Randle in foul trouble. And that's the thing. Quentin Grimes is out there to defend and get into foul trouble.
And one thing I'll say is, shout out to my guy State in the chat. I know some people rock with State, some people don't.
My guy,
State's my homie.
My guy, that's my guy.
And when he's just spitting the spit, like when he's spitting the spit, like he's got some valid points. You know, sometimes I do think that, you know, when it comes to our coaching and our front office, that we make a decision, and even if it's not necessarily the wisest decision, like, and it shows over time, the fact that we put our clause in that decision, we got to stand by it for what it looks like, you know? So, you know, he was talking about Quentin Grimes was the player that was untouchable for Donovan Mitchell when it came up in the trades, you know?
Right.
So having him come off the bench is a bad look.
It's
you
a
know?
bad look. Yeah.
It's a bad look. Even if it might produce more wins, the perception of the front office didn't trade for Donovan Mitchell and now this player's on the bench is something that they won't do. Like we think about, you know, the power forward position as well. You know, like it's showing that as great as Josh Hart is at rebounding and stuff like that, he is not a backup power forward, you know, but he's got 80 mil. We said he was going to be a backup power forward, and now we're sticking to that because, damn it, we said we were going to do it, you know? And so that's something that we shoot ourselves in the foot with, is trying to be so stubborn and stick to the decision that we made in the offseason or early in the season, that changing it gives a bad perception of who we are as the front office. So we got to stick to it. So shout out to my guy State, because that's a great point. You know, for me, it's more important to make changes to win. Yeah,
because I feel like I'm missing something. Like I'm a big supporter of Tom Thibodeau on a base level. But in the complexities, I feel like he's a dinosaur, right? And the complexities, the complexities mean a lot, right? It's like with our cars. You know, cars get you from point A to point B, but that '89 Honda Accord versus that 2021 Mercedes GL 450, you know what I'm saying? Both get you from point A to point B, but then when you talk about the complexities, there's a difference, right? And so the thing is with Tom Thibodeau is I understand how people feel about him, right? But then when I look back at, is he better than Derek Fisher? Is he better than that thing we did with Hornacek and Rambis? Is he better than that thing we did with Fizdale? Right? Is he better than the thing we did with Mike Miller? That thing when we should have promoted Caleb Canales and we promoted Mike Miller, right? So is he better on a baseline? Is his floor higher than all those guys? Absolutely. Now the thing with Tibbs that y'all are pointing to is Tibbs' ceiling as high as Eric Spoelstra's. No, absolutely not.
Yeah,
it's not even a conversation. Is Tibbs' ceiling high as Popovich's or Steve Kerr? Absolutely not. But when you look at the floor of Derek Fisher, right, of Hornacek and Rambis, of Fizdale, of Mike Miller, right? Yeah, Tibbs is. I'll give him credit for bringing us to a place of where we are now versus where we could have been.
Mm-hmm.
But in the grand scheme of things, is Tibbs that guy that could get us to his stubbornness in game? Like I think what you guys are talking are game to game adjustments.
Mm-hmm.
He frustrates all of us.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think he frustrates about 80% of the Knicks fan base.
Yeah, and we could talk about Tibbs for hours. We all know it, right? And I think you just broke it down, right? There's a lot of positive we can say about Tibbs.
Right.
I mean, look at what this front office and Tibbs over the last several years. Heck, you call it out all the time. The culture change, right?
Oh, yeah.
Phil, you said it last episode. We are back to somewhat being a destination players are looking at, right?
Mm-hmm.
Look at the defense that Tibbs brought, right? It's if you start looking ahead, and I am not here already at this point of the season of the fire Tibbs stuff. No. But if you look, you sit down, break stuff down. It's like, hey, you're starting to get this young core that we talk about that we were begging to see play. They're playing. We're seeing them develop. Maybe it's time to have that person, and it's a conversation to have in the offseason of who's going to help take this core to that next level.
Yeah.
Right? You establish the defense. You establish what they can be in that culture. Now we go to the Johnny Bryant conversations. We go to all that, right? And we can go on that one for hours. But I want to throw Double A again, helping us keep the lights on with a super chat. Appreciate you, my guy. I want to bring it up because, we got a little bit of time before we wrap up. I'll throw it to Phil's got the finger up. Double A, I will leave your $1.99 super chat on the screen till Phil is done with his point. Philip, take it away.
Yeah, so I wanted one point on what FREEZIE was saying about Tibbs. Have you guys listened to that J. Cole release where he had Lil Yachty on the track recently?
Phil, the only person that listens to rap music out of the three of us is you. Okay, bro?
Yes,
all right. I know what song you're talking about.
yeah.
All right. So this is the crazy thing is there were so many people that were like, yo, Lil Yachty got bars, this, that, and whatever. And I'm listening to the track and I'm like, okay, I grew up listening to Tribe, De La, Black Thought, The Roots, those are bars, like Jay, Big, Nas. So all these people talking about Lil Yachty's got bars blew my mind, like, especially because J. Cole right after blew him out of the water, And so for me, I'm like, okay, these people are looking at Lil Yachty's ceiling, from being the rapper. Not an actual, exactly.
Wait. One more time.
I'm clipping that. I'm marking that. I'm marking that.
Mumble rap. And so now they're seeing him actually compose an actual song, and they're like, oh, he's actually got bars. Well, he's got better bars than what he presented before, but you're not focused on what actual bars in an artist like J. Cole or someone who does it all the time is like. Your ceiling is very low, what you're comparing it to. And so for Tibbs, I'm like, okay, and it's not that extreme. He's not like Lil Yachty. But in the same way, like I'm looking at what do we need to fully guarantee that our squad is led to charge into the finals? Do I feel like Tom Thibodeau makes the changes necessary in a game to get us there? No. I look at the fact that he has written different songs. He's doing better than he did before. He's made adjustments. We've seen the defense actually thrive. We've seen players start to develop. That's all great. However, in order to actually make it to where we need to go, I don't think he's that guy. That's not hating what he's doing or hating what he's done for us. But I'm saying where I want to go, I don't think he takes us to that destination. And that's what I'm trying to make.
I'll throw it to you, FREEZIE. I know you had something to follow up on that. But Nick Yak, to your point, all these teams putting up huge points until they play us give the man credit. That's the point. We are giving credit. The defense, no one can say shit about the defense and say that doesn't get a credit to Tibbs.
Yeah.
You have to. Yes, the players have to do it, but he has that system. We all know it. The question is, and again, we're not making this a Tibbs rant or anything like that. It's just a conversation of our growth of these young guys, of the changes we want to see. Take us to that next level, right? So, no, defense, you got it. Right. You got to give the credit to Tibbs, 100%. Go ahead, FREEZIE.
Right. It's like in the Bible where Moses went and got his people from bondage and led them to the wilderness, right? But Moses wasn't the person that escorted them to the promised land.
Yeah.
I think that's the scenario, right?
Yeah.
Like where Tibbs went and saved us from the lottery and brought us to this point that we are right now, right? And then I feel like Johnny Bryant is the guy that's going to take us to the promised land. And it's no knock on Tibbs, right? It's no knock on Tibbs because the people that's generally the rescuer may not be the people that take you to the promised land. It happens due to the course of history. There are so many examples of one guy goes and rescues, and then another guy comes in and takes you to the next destination. And I think that's where we are right now. But I think where we are so enamored where we are right now that we don't realize that Tibbs, took over a 17 win. It might have been a 23 win team, one of them, 23 win team, and made them into a playoff team. And I know people are gonna say, well, Tibbs missed the playoffs when he missed the playoffs, man, the year when Kemba was hurt and Derrick Rose was hurt and Grimes was hurt. Yeah, most teams when you have so many of your best players hurt, most teams are not gonna make the playoffs.
When Alex Burke is your starting point guard, you ain't making the playoffs.
You're not making the playoffs. and not to change the subject. So that's why when people tell me that this team is small, we need taller players. 2 years ago, we had the tallest backcourt in the NBA, and we were trash when we were starting Alec Burks and Evan Fournier, 2 6'6", 6'7" guys in the backcourt, and we were absolute garbage, right? What I'm saying is let's give Tom Thibodeau a little bit of leeway because he's kept us steady. But before that, we were a grease fire, right? So, and I know we have aspirations of being better, and I do too.
Yeah,
right. I've been a hardcore fan since 1973.
Same.
Hardcore.
Yep.
I'm talking about the little kid. You know, the little kids standing around adults, like "Let's go Knicks," like the little boy crying at the Porzingis draft. That was me, like in the early 70s, right? Right. And so trust, I've been through a lot of these situations where I know that we try to run before we walk, and then it leads to us sliding back down and crawling again. So what I'm saying is not be patient with Tibbs, but understand.
Understand where we came from and where we are at right now.
And where we're trying to go and just not speed it up.
This is the fourth year that Tibbs been here with this front office, and this is the fourth year we are in an NBA purgatory. Right. Normally, we'll be looking at the 2024 draft. Who is the pick in the 2024 draft that we're going to get? Who's a sleeper pick in next year's draft? No, we've gotten to a point that this is year 4 with Tom Thibodeau and this front office, and give them credit. And I just want to bring up James Dolan as well. I know James Dolan said he's going to take a step away from the NBA, but James, what you have done over the past 4 years, this is what we needed from you. Take a step back, hire the right people, and allow them to do their job, and without any extra pressure on top of them. So shout out to James Dolan. I know it's not perfect, right? I get that, especially with the front office. I know we want the front office to make a big splash, get that star over here, but understand where we came from and where we're at right now. We finally have control of our draft picks. In the early 2000s, when we were trying to rebound after the 90s Knicks, we traded all of our draft picks away. Draft picks that turned into LaMarcus Aldridge, draft picks that turned into Joakim Noah, to Gordon Hayward. We traded with
Jamal
Murray. We traded with Phoenix. Phoenix traded with Boston. The pick that we sent to Phoenix that they sent to Boston turned out to be Rajon Rondo. So we aren't having those conversations on who should be on our team and who should be not. The only one that I can say over the past 5 years or over the past recent years, Jalen Duren. If you want to have that argument for Jalen Duren, fine, have that argument for Jalen Duren. But when it comes to other draft picks, we have all of our draft picks.
Right.
Real quick, guys. I see we got Wisdom, Mr. AKA Wiz in the back. Give me a thumbs up. Let me know you good. I'm gonna take myself. Oh, look. Oh shit. What did I just do? Look at that.
The fireworks.
I'm gonna take myself off for a minute. Let's let this happen for a second. Let me pull Wiz up.
What up, Peace James? What's up? What up?
Wiz.
Much love.
Pleasure having you on the panel, Wiz. This was bound to happen, brother. Thank you for coming on.
This is actually first I was shocked when I clicked the link FREEZIE this morning.
Right.
I click the link and I get over there and I try to post a note, and they're like, "You're not a subscriber." I'm like, "What?
What?
I can't live on subscribe." So my apologies for that, man, because I can't believe I've been watching you cats and not hit the subscribe button. A pet peeve of mine to everybody listening, chat, trying to not subscribing. So one just acknowledge,
But now that's rectified though.
Now it's
subscribe,
rectified, Wiz.
click the like button, everybody, because you guys are fire, man. This is a fire convo this morning. So
I appreciate you. But go ahead, Wiz. The floor is yours, brother. Join in the convo. Add what you want to add, brother.
Okay, so I'm gonna, of course, a little devil's advocate, because I always come in FREEZIE and people think I come in some negativity sometimes. But I'm just trying to acknowledge historically, Knicks do not have great centers since Patrick, right? I'm talking about NBA greats.
In their prime, because we've had dudes, it's not in their prime.
I was gonna say, okay, in their prime, to clarify, exactly.
Because we had Mutombo.
I was about to say we had Mutombo and Steph for about half the season.
Yeah.
So I can't right now say that Mitch is the best since Patrick means a lot. It's almost like saying Fournier is the #1 3-point scorer in Knicks history. It doesn't really mean a whole lot when he really didn't take 3-point shots.
Right.
Kind of saying Tibbs is the best coach we've had, in the past 20 years, because we haven't really had that many great coaches. So I got to give that up and be like, I love Mitch. I acknowledge his greatness, but I can't compare Knicks to Knicks. I compare Knicks to greats.
Okay.
So my acknowledgement is our 3-point shooting leaders should be compared to the greats of the NBA 3-point shooters, not to Knicks history. It almost reminds me of Kramer from Seinfeld when he had he's the best martial artist in his class.
Which wasn't saying much, yeah.
Exactly. So I want to start there, but on a positive note, though, I do want to say your points have been a brilliant points. I almost was totally on your side, FREEZIE, when you started dropping the argument about Grimes, stayed in the lineup, and then I saw the counterpoint. I said, "Oh man, that sounds good." So you guys are messing me up because you guys argue too logically. Your arguments are too on point with stuff that really makes sense. So I've been flip-flopping going, great point, man. I agree with that. And then next thing, another point comes up, I'm like, oh, man, I'm being swayed right now. So that I got to make sure that right now you guys.
You being swayed in the morning? Okay.
I get it. But I'm just saying I'm impressed with your arguments, with your knowledge, with your info. My argument regarding Grimes and Dante is, I think because of his lack of maturity, I think he was put in a little bit too early, even though I'm one of those guys that play the kids. But I do think that there's a personality trait that allows you to start or to be given responsibility earlier. The argument about, let's use IQ, for example. IQ could have played instead of Burks because IQ had the personality of, I don't care. It's almost like Deuce. I don't care what happens. I'm going to get mine because I know how good I am. I'm going to keep on going. Where Grimes and Obi and probably Knox and those cats who, emotionally get swayed because they get pulled early or they don't start or they only get 15 minutes a game and their personality and psychologically get messed up. So it is a mind game for the coach to play. And I'm not sure quite Tibbs has exactly that balance yet. He's good on some guys. He's overly protective on some guys. I don't want to mention, but Randle, I might as well say it. That's where he does not. He's so protective of his ego and his emotions that he overkills the fact he leaves him in the game sometimes too long, or plays him too many minutes, or gets him in too early, even when he's injured. So my argument with Grimes is Grimes probably shouldn't have started right away. He should have rolled the bench a little longer to get that confidence up, to get it kind of like, I'm going to take my shot. And then when he steps in there, when the shot comes up, take it. However, I do look at Josh Hart. And Josh last playoff, and sometimes even this season, has not taken shots either. And he's a cat who you think has the confidence and the attitude that I'm going to take mine. But he's also pulled back on shots and sometimes not dribbled or passed too early because he looks like he's a little too tentative. So a guy with that much experience and that kind of confidence, with his boy, Brunson right there, does the same thing that Grimes does sometimes, And therefore, the psychological impact of how do you manage these players mentally, emotionally, psychologically is probably a factor. We got to give these guys breaks on, or we got to just treat everybody with the same kind of, intensity of saying, man, he doesn't do it either. So let this cat ride. So right now, my thing is let Grimes ride a little bit longer now because he's in a position where pulling from the starting lineup, FREEZIE has said it, pulling from the starting lineup right now could affect him emotionally and psychologically. So let him ride a little bit longer and then see if we do need a time to switch him out. And also the dynamic of continuity. Continuity is a word we've been using all summer. Let the continuity of the way the team's been playing, doing well, keep going. But 0 points, man. Ow. That's a big argument.
Well, that's not fair, though. The 0 points thing is not fair, understanding that man came off a sprained wrist, and it's a shooting wrist.
And we didn't see a lot of
and everybody struggled against Minnesota.
Right? Yeah, and it's the number and it's the number 2 defense. And he's being guarded by Anthony Edwards.
Facts.
Ron's in the building. Ron, how you doing?
Ron, the smoothest R&B voice in the Knicks community. Still
Keeping
Knicks
it Ron
fans.
is in the building. Keeping it Ron. Let's go. Let's go.
Y'all crazy, man.
Ron, you know what? I'm gonna start a GoFundMe because that mic you got, I'm gonna need you to get like you know when those female rappers have the mics that's like this and they're about to lay some. I'm gonna need Ron to get a mic that hangs. I'm gonna need you to get a bad bitch mic. That's what I'm gonna need you to do. Because the way that you're pulling it out here, Ron, go ahead, brother.
Listen, man. If I could ever get everything straight, man, I'm trying to get them Spire, you know mics, them hot boy mics, boy.
There you go.
But I gotta get a different setup for I need an external thing. But anyway, that's a whole nother thing. But whatever. Just want to say what's up to everybody. Appreciate y'all. Happy gobble gobble to everybody. Hope y'all enjoyed everything with your families and let's be thankful that we able to spend that
Ron,
time.
who's supposed to be stuffed more, the turkey or the people? Because I feel like even though we stuffed the turkey, I am still stuffed myself.
Listen, I can't even.
Hey, listen, man.
I would not even move my camera down, okay? Because I got that I ate too much yesterday belly going on. All right, I got a presence to keep. Okay,
I got that.
The turkey understands. I saw a meme with a turkey cooking his own turkey leg. He's like, damn, I do taste good. Like I get it. they get it.
Shout out real quick, Ron, and then I want you to give your takes. Double A with another 199 super chat. Appreciate you, bro. I brought this one up because I love what he wrote in there. Will Tibbs be the first head coach in decades to resign? That's a good question.
You mean to resign?
No,
to resign. You mean
resign
or resign? Either.
Yeah.
Well, I think resign and resign is spelled the same way, so it's all about how you say it.
Yeah. Welcome to this hooked on phonics edition of
the
I don't know if it's resign or resign. Go ahead.
I think both are intriguing, bro, because
I know either way you look at it.
Or resign. I think both are fascinating to talk about.
Phil, you're muted.
Resign is supposed to have that little dash in it. Resign is
but it's spelled the same way, right?
Yeah, it's spelled the same.
It's Phil. That's what I'm talking about, baby. Told y'all get everything over here at Morning Brew.
I thought it was Ristigny. I didn't know.
About grammar,
I thought
baby.
it was Ristigny.
The more you know. All right, the $1.99 that made us all feel like we didn't know what the hell we were talking about. Appreciate you, Double A. Go ahead, Ron. Give us your take, bro.
All right, so I was gonna say that because I had a point about. Oh, I remember it was about Grimes from before. It was something I was thinking a while ago, the other day. I think Grimes is you already shot him some bail with regards to this last game, and I think that's very fair. Coming off the wrist thing, playing against a top 2 defense, all that stuff makes sense. So, like as Knicks fans, we realize that we got to be patient. We're so impatient with regards to this team and everything they got going on. Give him a pass for that game. Now, we'll say if tonight he comes out and does something similar, I'm not feeling it. I get it. I know the risk, but you got to find other ways to contribute to your team, other ways to score points, and even in motion, if it's a problem, figure out how to get to the basket, get to the free throw line, shoot some easy shots. But the one thing about Grimes that I noticed the other day, and I'm shooting Jalen Brunson a little bail here, and not just him. I'm saying him because he's the primary ball handler, but other guys too. The other thing about Quentin Grimes is it's not necessarily just about his aggressiveness. It's how he likes to get his shot off. So I made a point of really watching the highlights of Dante DiVincenzo when he scored 25 and hit 7 threes. 4 of those 3-point shots were contested. Okay. So the difference between Quentin Grimes and Dante DiVincenzo is when the defense starts to collapse on Quentin Grimes right when he's about to get set to shoot his shot, he doesn't shoot it. He just hesitates. He'll try to put it on the floor, or he'll just pass the ball out. And that happens a lot. If you look at you pay attention to tonight's game. Just see how many times Quentin Grimes gets the ball, and instead of shooting,
You mean
he hesitates and he passes the ball.
Attacking fake closeouts, right? Like attacking these fake. Josh Hart does it a lot too. Like the closeout, like the dude is like 7 feet away, and instead of taking the 3, they wait for the guy to come to him all the way there, and then they go by him instead of shooting the ball when they're moderately covered.
Yeah, Hart had
Hart had a horrible one.
Game. It was like really ghost fake out. Like
I agree with you, Ron. I understand what you're saying, bro. Not to cut you off.
Yeah, so I mean that's
for the same thing.
Yeah, I just don't want people to think that. Like, I get it. The Knicks need to, as a collective, need to look for Grimes. But when they do look for him, you can't just say, oh, because look at his shot attempts. He's not shooting. He gets the ball and like the defense collapses, and the way he shoots, he don't do it. Well, as I watched 4 of those 7 shots that Dante hit, and he shot those jokers right in the
Wait a minute,
dude's
Papa
grill.
Bear, are
man.
you saying? I thought you said this dude was Klay Thompson. Come on, Papa
Listen.
Bear.
You know what happens with a guy that you think can be something? They got to prove it.
And he wound up being something else?
The only thing that's holding Grimes back is Quentin Grimes. The guy's got all the tools in the world to do exactly what I think he can do. If he can't give me at least Aaron Aflalo, then I got a problem. I'm sorry. But listen, there's still time. It's just I don't know what happened between the Quentin Grimes we started to see last year, the Quentin Grimes that Sim from Nothing But Knicks, his trainer had on that said he's opening up his game. He's not going to stand in the corner. He's going to do more out there. The Quentin Grimes that we saw in the beginning of last year that was putting the ball on the floor, getting to the basket, and either shooting or faking and then doing a little dish off to Mitch for a nice, quick, easy. Where is that guy? I don't know. So until I see that guy, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to keep going at him.
I've seen Quentin Grimes play live about 25 or 30 times, right? I'm talking about in person. I'm talking about maybe being 30 feet away from Grimes, right? And Grimes is not that guy, bro. He's not and respect to his trainer, right? I'm not calling his trainer a liar. But when I'm telling you is I've been there with Jay Boogie about 20 feet away. I've been there, you know what I'm saying, with all types of different people in Knicks universe, and we've seen Quentin Grimes put the ball on the floor, see a defender, then throw a jump pass to Mitchell Robinson at the 3-point line. And we're like, yo, first of all, why are you jumping in the air to pass? And secondly, why are you kicking the ball out to Mitchell Robinson at the 3-point line? Is Mitch going to shoot a 3? No. Is Mitch even going to dribble? No. Now you killed the clock. You killed the clock. Now, because a guard now has to go get the ball from Mitchell Robinson, right, or Randle, and now they have the ball with 7 seconds left. What I'm saying to Grimes is like what Ron said. Just be Klay, bro. Right? If they close out on you hard, just take a dribble side step and still take the same shot. Right? You don't have to put the ball on the floor and go to the rim and attack like that. You can attack in different ways. You can attack with a pump fake. You know what I'm saying? You can attack with a side step. Right? There are multiple ways that you can attack without attacking the rim. Like his greatest asset is shooting the basketball. And if you're a shooter, right, and you change your game into a dribble drive penetrator, that's playing to your weakness. That's not playing to your strength. You're a 3-point shooter, shoot it. Right.
And that goes to Ron's point too, right, Freezie, where he said they're giving him all the opportunities.
Right.
They're giving him that starting unit. They're giving him the time. Right. And again, I understand the wrist, that sucks and all that. But even before the wrist injury, these were the questions we were asking, like, yo, where's Grimes? And again, I go back to the confidence side of it. Right. If you're given all the opportunity in the world, there's nothing that's saying we are holding you back. You said it. Grimes is holding Grimes back.
Wait a minute. Is he broken?
I'm not really saying he's broken.
I don't know. I think I think when it comes to him, it's a little bit of the confidence, right? And I just wanted to let people know, like, because we're gonna wrap it up here pretty soon. You see on the bottom of the screen where it says content your way. This is something that we're going to start doing on open panels only, right? So if you're watching us and if somebody gives a take and if you don't agree with it, you could pay $10 to mute someone for
Mute
about
their
5
asses.
minutes.
Mute them.
You
Shut
can
them up.
pay $15 to mute someone for 10 minutes, and then you
Right.
can pay $20 to mute someone for 20 minutes. And if
Right.
you don't want to see their ugly ass face on the screen, you could pay $50 and you could boot them for the entire rest of the show. And that's only for that one show. We just try to
Boot
make
me,
it a
y'all.
bit more fun for the people that are in the chat.
Boot
No,
me
Freezie,
off.
ain't nobody,
Boot
ain't
me
nobody
off.
gonna boot you, Freezie.
Hey,
Ain't
listen, I
nobody
made it
gonna
clear.
boot
I
you.
was like, listen, y'all want to boot me for $50? I will be happy backstage producing, all right?
Backstage.
Pressing all these buttons and talking, making sure y'all look good. It's just a
Right.
lot. So go ahead, pay
Right.
me $50. Send my ass away anytime you want.
Yeah.
All right, before we close, to Freezie's question about the brokenness, the way I see it, like if you remember back in the days of school, everyone met that one kid that like around certain people was very like timid, very like
Right.
out of their element, but then you saw them somewhere else and you were like, wait a minute, what? Like you
Right.
extroverted, you crazy, but at the cool
Right.
kids table, they were like a
Be
shell,
quiet.
you know, a shell of themselves. They clam up, get
Oh,
all
when they got
sweaty
around the
and-
girls, like they
Yeah,
talk
you
all
know?
that trash around their homeboys, and they get around the lady, then they be like all quiet.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I feel like that's Grimes with the starting unit. I feel like Grimes clams up because of all the shooting and scoring power and authority that Randle's been given, that RJ has, that, you know, Jalen Brunson's been given. That's why I'm like, if we could just see what he could be with
Right.
the second unit, where he doesn't have all those people that he has to feel like he has to be in the shadows for, and him and Quick could just work. I would like to see what that could be like, because I feel like we would see a different version of Grimes. We would see that Grimes that's just hanging out with his homies, acting like he could bag any baddie that he wants, you know?
Right,
But I
right.
feel like in that starting lineup, he's too afraid to even approach and say what his name is, you know? And so I want to see him come out of his shell, because I do believe, like Ron said, he has all the tools. He has a high ceiling. I just don't think with those three, we're going to see it. And that's unfortunate.
True that.
Yeah.
Actually, Freezy brought us up last year, and we talked about it. Nick Yak
Ham
just brought it up
sandwich.
again. Oh, yeah, Freezy brought it up last year, and Nick Yak just brought it out again. Grimes is basically right now a second-year player with number of games played. So, in a certain sense, he's in the second year. So, I do say we got to give him another year or so before we start to really get on him. I got to give him that little break. Obviously, some second-year players, some first-year players are playing like they've been in the league forever, you know. But Grimes is literally mentally a second-year player and probably has to be given that leeway to go one more year, and then we start looking at it. I mean, I gave RJ 5 years. I was holding out for this last year for RJ right now, and if RJ didn't come through this last year, I was completely done. I was
What do you
almost
have against
over the
Brooklyn,
edge.
bro.
I
All this
almost jumped
Brooklyn
off
on
the
Brooklyn
ledge.
crime is ridiculous, bro.
Oh,
Bro, what do you have
man.
against Williamsburg, bro? Relax.
You know, but
Now you better stop. That's Ron's neighborhood. You better stop now.
Oh,
Hey,
no, my bad. My bad.
Go ahead, Sos.
no,
He's Flatbush,
and-
by the way. He's Flatbush and Fort Greene. Boy, Jamaican, man, Jamaica.
But you know, guys, at the end of the day, every part of these conversations is because we love our Knicks. Okay, like I don't feel that anybody on this panel today, or even the last couple of weeks, that this conversation with the Grimes has come up. That it's been, I haven't heard the Grimes is trash, get rid of him, trade him, well, he's a bust. That's the stuff that doesn't make sense. That's not conversation. That's not caring about your team. That's just picking one point that you just want to make and stick with that narrative to look stupid, because you look stupid. What we're talking about is what is the best steps we can take, because we want to see success. We want to see this kid flourish.
Internal
Okay?
improvement.
It's not
Gotta have
exactly. It's not a bash party. It's if we all feel that, hey, we're not seeing it with this starting unit, maybe that second unit will give him that confidence, will give him that improvement, give him the time to roll. And I said it the other episode. Someone in the chat threw in there, oh, but then you lose that chemistry with JB. You can't feed me that line when the other guy coming in is his Villanova best friend at his wedding. You're not going to convince me that they're going to have better chemistry than what he's rolling with and what he did roll with in college. So again, when I'm talking Grimes, I love Grimes. Yes, he has certain tools that are amazing when it comes, but I'm also not going to sit here and overrate or underplay him as a player. Right now, for what we need to get better, I want to see a move that overall leads to W's.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I'm going to say left on Grimes. Right, go
So
ahead.
before we end, I want to say one thing. Ian Begley just posted, if we lose tonight against Miami, we are eliminated from the in-season tournament.
No, look at that ugly court. How can we not want to watch us win on that thing?
Bro, that thing
Hey,
make my
listen,
feet
in
hurt,
the
bro.
dark, it looks great. It looks really
In the
good
dark.
in
That's
the
horrible.
dark.
Key
That's
point in the
horrible.
dark.
Bro,
I feel like I'm playing laser tag with my kids in the freaking glow tank. It's insane.
bro, that thing just makes my feet hurt looking at it. Bro. Like,
It looked like somebody
mean-
spilled the guts of a pumpkin on the court. Like,
Yeah.
It is
I mean,
fall. It is fall.
to Phil's point, at least it does look like a Knick court. You can tell that,
Right.
who's playing on that court. The Knicks got to be out here tonight. At least you know that much.
right.
Some of these other courts are
silver,
ridiculous.
silver lining.
Shout out to Smashing Pumpkins, by the way, for those that like.
Oh,
music.
and to Wiz's point,
Pumpkins.
to Wiz's point, I think yes, you're right. The Knicks need to be patient and give Grimes another year. And guess what? That year is this year, because after this year, they're going to figure
Got
out
you,
if
Double A.
they're going to have to
Sorry,
pay him that
sorry.
money. So
Let's
Real-
go back
real
to
quick,
double A
Ron,
before we
that's-
wrap.
Perfect segue, Ron.
Yep.
He asked, do you think that IQ will be gone for nothing? You think we will lose IQ for nothing? And let's end it on that one real quick. 'cause I
Also,
gotta
Double
dip
A
out.
wanted to make sure that our Hooked on Phonics session didn't go to waste, so he dropped another super chat. Appreciate you. It was re-signed, as in brought back, not resigned, like my stupid ass said.
Right.
Thanks for the Hooked on Phonics lesson, Double A. Listen, where else can you get a tip of $1.99 to make you smarter? Thank you, Double A. All
There
right.
we go.
So let's go around the horn, answer both of these, and we'll wrap real quick. Let's go with, do we lose IQ for nothing? And then do you think Tibbs would come back? Let's go Ron, Wiz, and then we'll wrap with FREEZIE's take on it.
yeah, I think Tibbs will come back. I don't think that the Knicks want to reinvent the wheel. I think they already have they finally have an identity. Whether you like it or not, it is what it is. But this is who the Knicks are, and so it takes time to develop that all over again. And I don't think the Knicks, they're trying to capitalize on whatever window this is. So I don't think they want to reinvent the wheel at this moment. So to all the Tibbs haters, I'm sorry, but I just think that Tibbs is the answer right now. And you just got to hope that he figures it out as a coach and takes his next level. So that way, if we put the right team out there, we have everything in place. So Tibbs has to grow in the playoffs as well. And with regards to Quickly, I honestly think Quickly's coming back. I don't think Quickly's going anywhere. I think people don't have faith in the fact that Quickly loves being a New York Knick and wants to get paid, but will get paid and stay here for maybe a little less than he might get on the open market. They've seen other people leave before, not necessarily with the Knicks, but with other teams. And so they feel like he's going to do the same. I think Quickly's going to stay. I think he's going to get a good salary bump. And I think he's just going to look at the situation and say, even though I want to start, I understand the level of freedom I have with the second unit. I'm playing damn near 30 minutes a night. In some cases, I play over 30 minutes. You can't get that everywhere. So I think he's going to stay for that. And you never know, because the Knicks are really one move away. And I'm not talking about one move away from winning and being a contender. They're one move away from being able to have the flexibility to change their roster. Because if the Knicks brought in another solid defensive player who can score the basketball, they could play around with moving quickly to the starting lineup and changing things around. So I just say, like, I'm having faith. So I'm gonna leave it there.
Facts.
There's Ron's take
before-
in the oh, go ahead, Ron.
Oh, my fault. One thing I wanted to say, thank you guys. I'm sorry. I appreciate you guys like rocking with the open panel and extending it. Because the funny story, real quick, I'm about to do some work because I got some extra work I got to do. But I set everything up. I said, I'm going to jump on the open panel and put my mic up and all this stuff. And then somebody called me. And then as somebody called me, I'm like, okay, let me get ready for the open panel. Then I'm looking in the chat and it says last call for open. I'm like, well, no.
It's all right, man. You know that door opens up. You just knock. You good. You good.
Exactly.
Those of you in the chat, if you ain't following Still Knicks fans, what are you doing with your life? Make sure to go sub, drop some love on that channel. You know how they do. Wiz, go ahead, give us your quick takes on that, man. IQ, do we lose him for nothing? Does he come back? And are we re-signing Tibbs? Well, these are two topics we're gonna have full episodes on. I mean, you have no choice.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make the Ron move and take the easy one first. Take the Tibbs one first, like Ron did. Tibbs is safe right now. We're gonna resign him. I think it's a reflection on the administration. If they lose him or they fire him right now, unless of course we totally fall apart. So right now I'm seeing Tibbs is safe. That's done on that. Regretfully, I do think Tibbs is Moses, like FREEZIE says. Tibbs is Mark Jackson, like. IQ. I've been on the road saying IQ's gonna get traded by the deadline because the fear of losing him for nothing. The offer is gonna be too much for even him to resist. No matter how much Ron's point is valid, he loves us. He'll take a little bit less, but the offer in the open market next summer could be crazy enough. We're talking about insanity enough that he may be like, guys, my family, like trust me up, they gotta eat. I gotta eat, so 20 mil ain't gonna make me eat. I need 30 mil to eat, because so that's my fear. So my leaning, Knicks will try to keep him as best as can, and only a remarkable offer will take him away. So I'm almost with Ron right now, unfortunately, which I don't like being with Ron because he can't dance at all. That's what I gotta say. So.
Appreciate you both jumping on the open panel. FREEZIE, I'm gonna throw it to you later, homies. All right, let's do it. Let's switch it up the right way here. Oh man, I hit the wrong button.
Oh, split screen.
Split
screen.
Boy. All right, we're fixed up. All right, FREEZIE.
No, okay.
There we go.
Right.
I told you.
So
50
I'm
bucks,
gonna take a different take from both.
Okay.
I'm gonna say, that in the line of succession that the Knicks have in place that they don't speak about, I think Tibbs won't be re-signed. I think Johnny Bryant is going to take over. And the reason why I say that is because when jobs opened up around the NBA, if you notice, Johnny Bryant was not a candidate for hire for anybody. And I think the reason why is because he must have a promise from the Knicks that if he stays around long enough, that this is guaranteed to be his job. Because before Johnny Bryant signed with the Knicks, he was a hot commodity around the league. And I don't think a guy like that stays around in that type of way, like a Josh McDaniels type of thing. Unless right? You know what I'm saying? I think he's promised this job. Right. So I think Tibbs won't be resigned, and not because we dislike him, but because 5 years of Tibbs is like having 5 years of Lou Piniella. For those that follow baseball.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. After 5 years, bro, after 5 years, the whole organization tunes out Lou Piniella. Right. And not that Lou Piniella is a bad coach, a bad manager. It's just what it is. You only get a certain window of time, Thibodeau, before you're like, hey, bro, I just can't listen to this mess anymore.
Yeah.
Even though you keep the same principles in place.
And to your point, when it comes to Lou Piniella, he was the manager with Tampa Bay for all those years while they were bad. He was able to get that organization in the right way before they became the powerhouse that they are right now, with constantly being over 500, constantly finish 1 and 2 in the division, and constantly in the playoffs. So that's a great point.
And Ron, you literally just took my take, right? And again, we'll save it for another episode. We got a long season ahead of us, people. All right, I'm focused on the Heat, but this is the thing. Yeah, I believe. This is where the best case scenario. You're going to see Tibbs in that front office. Tibbs, everybody says Tibbs going to get paid. Yeah, I just think that payment's coming for a different position.
Right.
That's
that was the thing I was going to acquiesce into. I think Tibbs is going to graduate into a less of a day-to-day grind and more of a broad thing about the future. Now, the Quickly thing, Quickly is gone. And listen, if you're a Quickly fan, you have a jersey, I hope you have jersey insurance. Because even though I love Emmanuel Quickly, and I would love to see Emmanuel Quickly be here forever, right? But the thing about Emmanuel Quickly is there are too many teams around the NBA that need exactly what Quickly brings to the floor every night. I can think about 5 of them right now. Yeah, Washington needs a point guard, right? San Antonio needs a point guard, and they have money, right? New Orleans needs a point guard, and they have money and young talent, the same age, right? Orlando could use a point guard right now. There are a bunch of teams. The Bucks could use a guy to play with Dame Lillard and be the natural line of succession guy when Dame steps off, right? There are too many teams. I honestly believe, and just to wrap it up so I can jump backstage and everything so y'all can have it, right? I think quickly is going to be a Chicago Bull, him and Grimes. I think the Knicks are going to pull the trigger on Zach LaVine. And even though I don't like
breaking
him,
my heart,
that's
Freezie.
not
You're
what I
breaking
want.
my heart.
I got you. But hear me out on it. I think he's going to be. I think my man is going to be gone. Zach LaVine is going to be the guy, and the future of New York Knicks basketball is going to look like Johnny Bryant with a backcourt of Zach LaVine and Jalen Brunson. I want to thank everybody. But thank y'all for having me, man.
I'm about to pay that $50.
But thank y'all for having me, man. I appreciate it. Man, y'all make the holidays special, man. Black Friday, I'm coming on, hanging out with my superhero and some new friends and my brother Heck. You know what I'm saying?
Love you, Freezie.
Salute to Jerry somewhere if he watching. Salute to the Knicks Morning Brew crew that rock with y'all every day, man. Make sure y'all hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe. But even more than that, spread the word. Let everybody know that the Knicks Morning Brew is out here putting out quality content, right? And tell your friends to support and help these shows grow. Because the more everybody grows, the better off it is for all the Knicks content creators everywhere. You know, we need to keep expanding this universe and expanding our reach. It's like footsteps in the sand. You know, let's just keep putting footsteps in the sand, man, helping people and get through holidays and get through the season. It's a long season. So thank y'all for having me, man. I appreciate
of course,
y'all.
bro. You know, it was something we weren't able to work out last season. So glad to get you on here. You know, I say it time and time again to people in the chat. You know, I am that guy that shows up in YouTube channels, right? I like to multitask. I like to, I'm working 24/7, but I got to have it open. And when I see you guys live, like, you know, guys like FREEZIE, go support because it's where to me, there's a lot of great content creators out there, but I have a place for platforms that let other people come up and talk their shit, right? Where people can come and have a safe place to talk, where you're not getting judged for your take, right? And you can have a good time, and your channel does that so well as well, FREEZIE. Appreciate you being on there. Before we go, guys, shout out Bash Duggar, threw it in there, $5 super chat before the show wraps. Playing a talented Grimes in a starter's role without being confident yet is how you destroy a talent. Can't argue that. No, it's not a bad look at his money to play on the second unit. Agreed. Again, we can go on these conversations forever. Shout out to every single person in the chat. Listen, if you're a New York fan today, you got some sports. You got Rangers literally right now. You got the Jets about to get their ass beat. Yeah, I can say it. I got the damn tattoo on my arm. You got Knicks game tonight. Let's go get this W. FREEZIE, you know we got to get you back on before the end of the season, my guy. Appreciate you.
Any Devils morning, no Jersey Devils morning brew. What's happening?
No. Listen. All right, we're not gonna have a Devils. We're not gonna have a Nets. Those are two teams I'm guaranteeing.
What's happening, man?
No Devils morning brew.
No Islanders. No. Listen. I'm petty. All right, I keep it to the teams that I love. All right,
bro. You Petty Murphy.
Petty Service Rex is his middle name. Petty Service Rex. But no, we appreciate everybody for rocking out with us. FREEZIE, like always, much love. Love you, Unc. You know, you're one of my favorite people in the world. Appreciate everybody to the chat. I'll be off next week because I'm gonna be in Puerto Rico. I'm leaving Saturday morning. My flight leaves at 5:45. I will be in Puerto Rico, but I will be dropping some shorts when it comes to Yankee news, stuff that's dropping. So pay attention to the channel. Hit that subscribe button because the MLB hot stove, it doesn't stop.
Monday, just because Hector's out there, you know, drinking some pina coladas, hanging out in Puerto Rico, we're going to be chilling right here with our boy Dexter Henry this Monday, locking it up. Make sure you guys tune in. Phil, any last words before we bounce?
No, man. Continue to support. Shout out to everybody that was in the chat. My guy, Real Uncut, you know, showed up. Appreciate you. Appreciate everyone that was in there. FREEZIE, family, thank you so much, man. Great points. I love.
If y'all need a co-host, I'll come
Interrupting
rock with
live.
y'all Monday.
See?
Heck, y'all know me, bro. I'll come
Let's
rock.
go. I hit
Let's
you
do
up.
it.
We got some spots open next week. Let's work it out.
Yeah, man.
So,
Yeah, man.
Ladies and
everyone,
gentlemen, we at
appreciate you.
1,772 subscribers, growing this thing. Help us hit that 2K goal. That's what we set
Them.
up for ourselves over these 6 months. Smash that subscribe, smash the like, and on that note, let's go, Knicks.
Deuces.